Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today's game is one that needs no introduction. I am going to be talking about Donkey Kong Country, as well as taking a look back and seeing what made this game so much fun, and also what made this game pretty difficult at times. So with that being said, let's take a trip back to 1994. Donkey Kong Country is one of those games that was hugely popular in the 90s, and it is still very much popular today among the fans. I still see people streaming it on Twitch all the time. I actually streamed this a while back and completed it in one go, which was insane because back in the 90s when I was playing this game, it took me about 4 years to complete because I would get that game over screen and I knew, okay, game over, time to go do something else. Go outside, play with my friends, go watch a TV, go watch a movie, go play another game, do something else, just get away from the TV kind of thing. So a lot of fans in the 90s knew that once you got that game over, it was time to move on. And then once I started completing games, I would start trying to see how much I could play before having to stop. And I remember when I first completed this game, that sense of, oh my god, I finally did it. I completed my first video game. And once that end credit music started, I was hooked. I knew I had to play this game again, and as soon as it finished, as soon as that last title sequence went, I started the game over again and went all the way back to the end again. It was the first game where I thought, I want to play this again right as soon as I finished it. Now, the interesting thing about this is that I also completed all 3 Sonic the Hedgehog games that same week, so that was really a great week in gaming for me. Now, Donkey Kong Country is very different from the original Donkey Kong. So in the original Donkey Kong, you were playing as Mario or Jumpman, who was the hero. Donkey Kong was the bad guy, basically the King Kong of the game. But this time around, Donkey Kong is the good guy, accompanied by Diddy Kong, who is his sidekick, basically like Batman and Robin when you really think about it. And each Donkey Kong Country game actually changes who the main characters are, so we'll talk about those once we get to those games as well. The enemies in this game are known as the Kremlings, as well as some aquatic enemies too, which are squids, clams, octopus, piranhas, some tires here and there. But the Kremlings are the main enemies of the game, and they're basically a group of crocodiles run by King K. Rool, who is the king crocodile or alligator. I'm not really sure what they are. I think they're crocodiles. But they have stolen Donkey Kong's banana hoard, and he is not happy about that, so he must stop them by going through different worlds. And it plays a lot like a Mario game, where you're going through collecting bananas. And I'm going to talk about that in the gameplay as well, but I just want to discuss that for a bit here, how different it is from the original Donkey Kong. Now, the cool thing is that you also come across other Kongs in the game who do help you through your journey. Well, one of them really doesn't, it just gives you stories, but the other ones do help you in your journey. So you have Cranky Kong, Funky Kong, and Candy Kong, and I will talk about how each one of them helps you throughout the game as you go through the game. So with that being said, let's actually jump into some gameplay, see how it holds up, and see if it's something you should consider playing yourself today if you have not already played this game. Donkey Kong Country is very much a platforming game similar to games like Super Mario Bros. And Sonic the Hedgehog. You will go through 40 levels that span across 7 different worlds, with a jungle to a forest area to a ice cap to a junkyard toxic waste area. They're all there, and a lot of these levels are pretty awesome, but each one gets more challenging than the last one. And there are some levels that require you to jump from barrel to barrel, and it can be an incredibly difficult experience if you're not careful. Some of those you have to time your jumps on what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. Otherwise, you might end up hitting a murder hornet, which they have spinning around the barrels, and it can be very, very stress inducing. Trust me and believe me on that one. It is a challenge to get through some of those levels. Now, as you go through the levels, there are multiple items that you need to collect. I'm going to start with the bananas. These act as your form of currency. Should you get 100 of these, you do get a 1-up, similar to Mario's coins, Sonic's rings, Crash Bandicoot's fruit, and Spyro the Dragon's jewels. So you get 100 of those, you get a 1-up. But also you can get a 1-up for getting the Kong letters, which spell out the word Kong, K-O-N-G. But some of these are hard to get because they are in areas where if you get them, you'll risk falling into a pit and dying and losing a life. So it's up to you if you want to get those. Also, you'll see floating balloons going around the levels, and those are basically 1-ups. You want to get them when you see them. Sometimes they're floating away, so you want to be quick, but if you miss it, you can always go back and get the balloon again or try again. I recommend using Diddy Kong because he's quicker, his jump radius is further and higher, and he's just a little better to get some of those 1-ups. Now, sometimes you can use Donkey Kong, but you have to get that running jump. You have to get that jump right at the precise moment to get to the area where that balloon is. Now, on top of these items, there are hidden bonus areas that do have these items as well. Should you find a hole in the wall or a hidden barrel, they will shoot you into these areas. And a lot of times you'll just have to go collect bananas or collect the hidden letters or collect just a 1-up. But there are hidden bonus areas that have enemies that you must fight where they're jumping around and you have to hit them at least 7 or 8 times for them to get defeated. And once they get defeated, they drop the 1-up or the letter or whatever you're missing, they will drop it for you. So you want to be on the lookout for those. And there are a lot of spots that are missing. Cranky does bring that up at the end of the game. He says there's still a lot of bonus areas that you missed, so you might want to go back and check those out and find them, because you do need these in order to get 100%, which I've never tried to do because I just enjoyed playing the game. I didn't want to go for the 100% because it just got too tedious. It got too stressful for me, especially when you're trying to get those letters that are hidden in the pits. It's just a lot of stress that I did not need or did not want from this game. One thing that is very helpful in this game are the animal helpers that you come across within each level. You have a rhino, an ostrich, a swordfish, a bird, and a frog that all help you in certain ways, but I recommend the rhino and the swordfish when you see them because they are the most useful. The others are just kind of useless to me. I never really cared to use them. The frog helps for about 2 minutes and then you end up losing him because you get hit by something, and the ostrich, same thing. You use him for about 2 seconds and he gets hit by something and runs away. The bird only helps you with 1 level to light your path, so he's kind of really just the most useless animal in this game, but they do redeem that and make him a little more useful in the other Donkey Kong Country games, which I'll talk about in a future episode. But one interesting thing about these guys is that they all have their own form of bonus level too. Basically, you'll be going through the levels and you'll see an icon that looks like a swordfish or a rhino, and if you get 3 of those, you get to go to their bonus level, and you collect little mini swordfish and little mini rhino icons. Same with the ostrich and the frog as well. You get little mini icons to collect. Now, should you come across a spot within the bonus level that says ×3 or ×4 or ×2, that means you get double, triple, quadruple the little icons to collect. And when you collect about 10 of those or 1,000 of those, you get 10 extra lives. So every 100 gives you an extra life. So it's really convenient to find these icons and get these bonus levels for these helpers because you can get more lives that way. And I really recommend it. And it makes just finding them a lot more fun. You'll see one and you think, there's another one, let me get it. And sometimes you'll find bonus levels that actually have 3 barrels, and if you collect 3 of them within that bonus level, you get 1. It basically counts as 1. You got to basically match up 3 in a row to get 1. So let's say you already have 2 from another level and you find this bonus level and you get 3 in a row, that gives you 1 to add on to your 2 that you already have, and then you got 3 and you can go to the bonus level. So it's really convenient, really fun to find those. I recommend looking out for them as much as you can in this game. Moving on to the enemies, because they are just as much a part of this game as the Kongs are. Now, the enemies vary from difficult to easy to what the heck. Now, some of them, when you're playing as Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong, they can be easily defeated, no problem. But there are some enemies such as the Army Kremling and the Bodybuilding Kremling, where if you're using Donkey Kong, you can hit them, no problem, they get defeated. But if you're using Diddy Kong, you need to do a roll attack in order to knock them down. And the Crusher, which is the bodybuilding enemy, I think he just laughs at you if you're Diddy Kong. I think if you hit him either way, he'll just bounce off and laugh at you. So you want to use a barrel for him if you don't have Donkey Kong with you. Now, the Clump character, you can just roll at him and knock him down easily. But a lot of enemies, like I said, are easily defeated with Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong, except for the 2 that I can name off the top of my head are the Claptrap, which is a little alligator, and the Armadillo. If you're using Diddy Kong, you need to jump on them twice in order to defeat them. Whereas Donkey Kong, all you got to do is jump on them once and they're done. Because Donkey Kong is the stronger of the 2. Diddy Kong is more of the weaker of the 2. So he uses barrels more than Donkey Kong does to defeat certain enemies. Now, when it comes to some of the regular Kremlings, you got to be careful with them because they do have differences. You have your green, which is basically just the one that walks back and forth and doesn't do any damage or anything to you. All you gotta do is jump on it. But then you have the blue, which jumps throughout the entire level. And you want to be careful with that one because sometimes you'll see 3 or 4 of them jumping in a row and you're thinking, uh-oh, I need to make sure I don't get hit by them. And so you want to time their jumps before you jump, otherwise you'll get hit, lose a life, game over, whatever happens, you gotta do it again. And then the brown ones, I think they just stand in one spot and jump, so you want to be careful with them. But you also have your vultures and your murder hornets as well, because they have a situation sometimes where they're moving up and down, back and forth in the level, so you want to time when you hit them right, because sometimes when you hit the vultures, you need to hit them in order to hit a platform past them. But the murder hornets, you don't even bother because you will get hit and die, lose a life anyways trying to hit them. So them you want to hit with a barrel. And that's what I was saying when I was talking about the barrel levels. because there's a lot of times where the murder hornets are spinning around and you're just thinking, I gotta get this right, otherwise I'm gonna get hit and I'm gonna be screwed. I gotta hit them or get past them in a timely manner so that I don't lose a life or get hit or anything like that. So that's the regular levels, but then you have your aquatic enemies, which are different. And most of them, no, pretty much all of them, you cannot hit with Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong. You have to have the swordfish in order to hit them. Otherwise, you want to swim past them. Now, the only one that can't be hit that I know of, or the only two that can be hit that I know of, are the clam and the octopus, because they are so strong that they just hit you no matter what. They're just not defeatable. The other enemies, such as the squid, the sharks, the piranhas, they can all be hit with the swordfish. You just want to be careful not to swim past them or right into them. So you can swim into them and hit them head on, but let's say you swim and you go like right underneath them, you'll sometimes get hit and lose the swordfish, and sometimes he'll swim away and you're just thinking, dang it, I'm stuck with just Donkey and Diddy now trying to get through this level. So you want to be careful in the underwater levels. And I'm not kidding when I say this, the underwater level has some of the best music in this game, along with Fear Factory and Into the Life in the Mines. Great tracks. I just want to talk about that real quick. Great tracks. Now, before we jump into the Kongs, the last thing I want to mention about the enemies is the bosses. Each world does end with a boss fight, and those boss fights are giant variations, giant versions of the enemies that you've already fought. So you can fight a giant vulture, a giant murder hornet, and a giant oil drum for some reason. But the oil drum actually drops smaller enemies, so that's how you know you're going to defeat that boss. But each boss takes about 5 or 6 hits to defeat, and you'll know you've defeated them when you hear the battle cry 3 times in a row. When you hear their death cry, you hear them either squawk 3 times or buzz 3 times, and then that means they've been defeated. King K. Rool is the only boss that does not have this same thing. Yeah, he does have the 3 death cries and then he's defeated, but his variation for his fight is very different because he has 2 layers. He has the one where he runs across the screen, and then he has the one where he jumps across the screen and basically needing you to move out of the way so you don't get hit. And he also drops cannonballs on you at the same time, so you want to keep an eye out for where his pattern is. Once you learn his pattern, it is not that bad and is very easy to defeat him. Trust me, I had trouble with this the first time, but once I learned where to jump and where to move, where to go, it was very easy for me to defeat him. Now I can get through it with probably minimal damage, maybe 1 life lost or anything like that, but I don't go through an entire list of 20 lives trying to defeat him anymore because I know his pattern and where he's going to drop everything. Now, with that being said, before we get to the end of the episode, I do want to talk about the Kongs, as I mentioned before, because Cranky, Funky, and Candy all have different things to help you throughout the entire game. And I want to talk about those because I figured I'd save those for last and talk about them and see how they do help you in this game. Now for the Kongs, not Diddy or Donkey, but Cranky, Funky, and Candy. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on them because there's really not a lot to say about them. Basically, Cranky Kong acts as your storyteller. He tells you, the whole back in my day, he's the older Kong. And some say he's even the Donkey Kong from the original game, just cranky now because he lost to Mario, basically. But he'll sometimes give you a little bit of advice on where certain things are. Like I said, at the end of the game, he does tell you, oh, hey, there's some hidden bonus areas that you might have missed. So you may want to go check them out, go run through levels again and check them out, see where they are and everything. Funky Kong acts more of a fast travel, so you go to him and you can travel to different islands, different worlds from one to the other. So let's say you're in the first world and you want to travel to the last level, you can jump in his airplane, travel to the last level, and go to the last level and fight King K. Rool if you want to. Or if you want to just go to the next world or a previous world you already played, jump in his plane, go backwards. Now Candy Kong is basically just your save point. You can go to her and save your game, and it's highly recommended to save there as much as possible because, like I said, some of these levels are very challenging, and if you go to a new world and you're just struggling on one level and you end up dying in that first level of the new world, you're going to go back to whatever save point you had previously. So you want to save before each boss fight. Save before each boss fight, or if you're going to play on like the Switch Online, just use the save states. It helps a lot. Trust me, it helps a lot. I've been using those when I play this game because back when I played this, I had to find a save point for Candy Kong and save my game. And then, once you defeat King K. Rool, I think the game auto saves at the end of that, or it saves right before that boss fight. So you'll have every level unlocked and you don't have to worry about going back and, oh, I gotta play this level again, or I gotta play that world again. Everything will already be unlocked before you get the King K. Rool in that matter. So just keep that in mind. And with that being said, guys, we are coming to the end of the episode, and I do want to give my final thoughts on this game. I really didn't have anything bad to say about it other than the difficulty and challenging of some levels, but I want to give my final thoughts and why you should definitely play this game today. Donkey Kong Country is still a phenomenal game. It is still one of my absolute favorite SNES games, as I mentioned before. And if you are a fan of old school platformers, old school Nintendo games, or Nintendo games in general, or even challenging games, definitely check this one out. And if you've played the newer Donkey Kong Country games on the Switch and the Wii, check them out anyways. Check this one out just to see where those games came from and what inspired those games to be the way they were, because yes, they are challenging, but you had these first in order to pave the way for those challenging games. Now, if you're trying to find this game, you can probably get a physical edition pretty cheap for about $20 to $30. I know I've seen it a lot in retro shops, but lately I haven't seen it. Now, if you're looking for just a digital version, your best bet is going to be the Nintendo Switch Online SNES Collection, because that is probably the best option to play this game and the other two games, and really just a lot of SNES games in general, because unless you can track down an SNES Classic, you're not going to be able to play this game on that one, because those consoles are so hard to come by these days, and when I do see them, they are so grossly expensive that I cannot condone anybody spending that kind of money on a mini console when you can just get this on the Switch if you have a Nintendo Switch. But definitely please check this game out. It is very awesome. You will enjoy it. Trust me on this one. I've enjoyed this game for many years. I still love this game. It never gets old. It never gets bored. I never get tired of it. It's a fun game. Play it. Love it. Check it out for yourself. And if you are a fan of Donkey Kong Country, please let me know down in the comments what your favorite Donkey Kong Country game is of all time. Even if you like Donkey Kong 64, that is not a problem. I do enjoy Donkey Kong 64 as well. So if you like that game, let me know down in the comments below. I would like to thank you again for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I always enjoy making these videos because it gives me a chance to revisit the past and introduce these older games to a newer audience who might be interested in trying them out for themselves. But it also gives me a chance to bring back the memories to those older fans who used to play these games back in the 90s and early 2000s, such as myself. But as always, guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up and ring that bell to be notified of when videos go live. Share with your friends and family, and I'll see you next time.